Hello, everybody. My name is Libertas. I'm going to share with you about how to start your own committee of correspondence, is what I call it, what they called it in the original colonies, of how the people, we the people, um, came together to build a united nation. But it all starts at your own house in your own town. So the example for this um, started in Massachusetts, where they already had town meetings. They had had that from the very beginning, and most of the places in the country did as well. When you get to the southern states with the big plantations, they were so spread apart, they really didn't do it as much and as frequently as they did in New England. And New England set the pace for everything. Anyway, um, the book of Ezra and Nehemiah from the Bible tells how to rebuild a nation, to start from the rubble of the destruction and rebuild it. And it was a very simple concept. In Ezra, he was a prophet, and they found the scroll hidden in the rubble of the temple. Remember, they had been in captivity for a long time. I would say we've pretty much been in captivity since about 1930, when they quit teaching Americanism in the public schools. So, but once they found the scriptures, or refound the scriptures, they said, okay, everybody, let's get together. And they all stood up to hear Ezra read the scriptures. I recommend that you get your own Bible, wipe the dust off of it, and start reading it for yourself. Number two, in Nehemiah, what they did was they started rebuilding Jerusalem at their own house. They couldn't conceive the scope of rebuilding the whole thing because it was such an overwhelming task that Nehemiah said, you start building your house. Their houses were attached to the wall. So you start rebuilding the wall where you live. When you get finished with your section, then you start with the guy next to you. You get your own house in order, you get your affairs in order, then collectively, and they were able to do it in record time. It just, the surrounding nations and everything, they could believe how fast that they were able to rebuild everything and get back on track again. But it's God first, and then you as an individual and your household, what you do at your kitchen table, and then your neighbors in your town and county, state, country. But I believe America can set the pace. Mississippi can set the pace for America. It's real simple. Our Constitution holds the key to restoring everything. I wrote a book called In God We Trusted, the U.S. Constitution and the Restoration of America. And it details in firsthand eyewitness accounts exactly how America was built and how the Mississippi Constitution, currently as written, holds the key to solving the whole thing. And it has to do with education. We have to teach ourselves and our citizens and then our children what it means to be an American. That's haven't been in our schools since 1930 to the original intent. So anyway, we start there. But when they started the First Continental Congress in 1774, their very first resolve was to open with prayer. So they decided that they were going to invite Reverend Ducey, who was an Anglican priest. They were still considered British colonies, and we had all of these different states with all these different denominations and all these different religions, and they wanted to find some common ground. So they picked this guy, kind of middle ground, and he was also known as a great patriot. And so anyway, he came and he read Psalm 31. So I recommend that you, in your first meeting, read Psalm 31. And then also go find it yourself or get my book. You can get it in digital form for less than $10, and read Reverend Ducey's prayer. But it begins very simply, Psalm 31, with, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. And then it closes with, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. So it begins with trusting God and having the courage to take a stand. And this talks about tyranny. Back here, we see the flag with the slogan of the American Revolution: resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. So how can we resist tyranny if we're not doing it the way God tells us to do it? And I know this is a lot to conceive, but don't complicate the simplicity of what I'm trying to tell you, because it really is that simple. And what I'm willing to do is open up my whole entire library to everybody. If there's anything constitutionally that you want to know, send me an email so I can go to my library. I can find the discussions and the debates of whatever topic it is and show you how the original Americans came up with the wording and the meaning of everything in the Constitution. Mississippi's Constitution holds the key to restoring America because it still has the original requirements for statehood in its Constitution, in its Bill of Rights. And I'm going to read it to you really quick. It's Article 3, Section 18, and it's titled Freedom of Religion. And it reads, no religious test as a qualification for office shall be required, and no preference shall be given by law to any religious sect or mode of worship, but the free enjoyment of all religious sentiments in the different modes of worship shall be held sacred. The rights hereby secured shall not be construed to justify acts of licentiousness, injurious to morals, or dangerous to the peace and safety of the state, or to exclude the Holy Bible from use in any public school of this state. Then it's footnoted underneath there of all the way back to the original state constitution of 1817, where it says we have this in our constitution to fulfill the requirements for statehood dictated by the Northwest Ordinance. So you can start there. You can go to your city, you can go to your mayor, your town council, your school board, and you can simply read that to them and say, didn't you put your hand on the Holy Bible and swear so help me God to defend our Constitution? It says so right here. This is what you're required to do. Would you please do it? And then they're going to say whatever they say and come up with whatever excuse they want to come up with. But you just stand your ground and said, no, our Constitution's in the Bill of Rights. It says that this is what we have to do. And there again, I can come in and help you with those kind of things. I'm just throwing a bunch of generalities out there. But then you start doing things in your town and you start getting things organized in your town, and then you start communicating with the next town over. I don't know all the names of all the little towns up in the Delta or anywhere else in the country for that matter. I know kind of where I live, where things are, but I don't know anybody in Pearlington. It's another little community like mine. I live in a community. I don't live in a city or a town. But anyway, the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution tells us how to do these things. And people don't think about it. We think of freedom of speech and freedom of press, but it doesn't mean you can say whatever fool thing you want to say or print every stupid thing you want to print. But it's in the context of religious liberty, because it says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And then it lists freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of the press, and freedom to petition the government for redress of grievance. And a redress is a written document. You get together, you think about things, you talk about things, you discuss things on a constitutional level, or just things that aren't working right, but put it down, formulate your thoughts. Don't just post something on Facebook and say, here, get together, work it out together, put it in writing, and go present it to your school board, go present it to your town council. I bet you don't have 10 citizens go to a town council meeting. but go there and say whatever it is you want to say. But the simplest one is just quote that in the Constitution, remind them of their oath of office. They did put their hand on the Bible and swear, so help me God, didn't they? Well, then, so help me God, why don't you do it? Just ask them the question. They're not going to know the answer, but it's a good place to start. They just like everybody else, you probably never heard that before till some crazy guy like me comes along. The next thing that's very important that you need to do, though, is also what they did in the Declaration of Independence. See, the Declaration of Independence is a petition for redress of grievance. They had done that over and over and over again since the end of the French and Indian War. And it finally got to the point where the British were killing us. And we said, okay, that's enough. We're going to separate. We're going to go our own ways, but we're going to tell the whole world, this is why we're doing it. This is our redress of grievances that the king and the parliament ignored. This is why we did what we did, why we're doing what we're doing, because they ignored us here, they ignored us here, they ignored us here. 27 different things they ignored us on. But when they said that we're appealing to heaven for the redress of our grievances, because there's no more redress with the government that we're under. So we've got to change things. And this is why we're doing it. But the most crucial part of this with your group and any other group and the things that we're trying to do together to fix this country is they said, and let me grab it real quick. They said, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So, with a firm reliance on divine providence, swear an oath amongst yourselves that you're gonna do whatever it takes, and you're not gonna back down, because you're gonna pledge to one another. I'm in this to win it no matter what it takes, because of my children and my grandchildren and my family, that this is a fight worth fighting for in our day and time. And that's what it's going to take. We mutually pledge to each other with a firm reliance on divine providence, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So I look forward to working with you. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit. And let's start talking and let's start working things together the way it should be, with gathering together and petitioning government for redress of grievances and build out from our town first.